Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, we discussed about the experimental material which are used by the Mendel for his breeding experiment. As I told you, Mendel selected garden pea plant for his breeding experiment. And I also told you about the regions for the selection of garden pea plant for this breeding experiment. Now there is a question that how Mendel made different artificial crosses. What were the steps to make all these crosses? Actually, Mendel made different cross hybridization, and that was artificial cross hybridization. He selected one plant as the male when he tried to make the cross breeding. One plant he considered as the male, and another pea plant he considered as the female. And in the female plant, the plant which was selected as the female plant, in that plant, he removed the stamens to prevent self-pollination. As you know, the pea plant has the bisexual flower, and if the plant is going to be considered as the female plant, in the female plant, the stamens must be removed before making the cross fertilization, or you can say cross pollination. So emasculation is the first step in the artificial cross hybridization. As you know, emasculation is the process of the removal of stamens from a bisexual flower of a female plant. And why the process of emasculation is done? To prevent self-pollination. And you can transfer the desired pollen grain from the male plant. After emasculation, then the next step is the bagging. The emasculated flower must be bagged immediately after the emasculation, and that bagging is done with the help of the butter paper, either polythene sheet, and bagging is required to protect the flower from contamination of any undesirable pollen grains. So it prevents the entry of the foreign pollen grains. Then the third step is dusting. You can take the pollen grain as the Mendel did. He took the pollen grains from the male plant and he transferred on the stigma of the carpel. This is called dusting. After dusting again, he followed the bagging technique. For time being, that no contamination is going to be there. So emasculation, bagging, dusting, all these steps are there which are included into the artificial, or you can say in cross hybridization technique. All these headings we have already discussed in the first unit. Now, the contrasting traits studied by Mendel. Mendel studied total 7 characteristics, 7 traits, and each trait has the two contrasting features. one was dominant while another was recessive. These 7 characteristics are to be there, and in his breeding experiment, or you can say in the process to know the pattern of inheritance, all these 7 characteristics Mendel, the 7 characters Mendel studied to know the pattern of the inheritance. And these are, the first one is the stem height. In the stem height, the tall is the dominant trait, while dwarf is the recessive trait. You can see in the garden pea plant, yesterday I told you that the garden pea plants have the different contrasting traits also, and these contrasting traits were very useful to make the crosses, and that's why Mendel selected garden pea plant. This was also a reason. In garden pea plant, some of the plants are very tall, some of the plants they were dwarf. So the character is height of the plant, but height of the plant has the 2 contrasting traits, and these are tall and dwarf. Flower color, in flower color, the violet color is the dominant trait and white one is the recessive. In the flower position, the axial flower, if the flower they are present in the axial flower was the dominant trait and the terminal flower was the recessive trait. In the pod shape, the inflated pod was the dominant trait and the constricted one was the recessive trait. In pod color, the green was dominant and yellow was recessive. In the seed shape, the round seed was the dominant trait and the wrinkled one was the recessive one. And in seed color, yellow is the dominant trait and the green was the recessive trait. So this tabular structure, the diagram, you have to learn, because some of the questions may be included from this table also, that which one was the dominant trait, which one was the recessive trait. I will discuss about dominant and recessive. As you know, dominant trait is the trait which can express their character. Dominant allele is the allele which can express their character in homozygous as well as in heterozygous conditions both. But recessive do not express their character in the presence of dominant one. It expresses their character in the homozygous state only, when the dominant allele is not there. For example, suppose the capital T is for tall and this small t is for dwarf. And if a plant is hybrid tall, suppose this type of the genotype is there in the plant will appear tall. Because here the capital T is responsible for tallness and this small t is responsible for dwarfness. The capital T is dominant. The dominant can suppress the characteristics of the recessive one. The small t is the recessive one. So recessive do not express their characteristics in the presence of dominant one, and that's why the plant will be tall. And suppose if in any progeny both small tt, both the alleles, they are homozygous for the dwarf, definitely the plant will appear dwarf. Why? Because the capital T or the dominant allele is absent. So the capital T definitely it will be the tall. The capital T small t it will be also tall, and this will be dwarf. Why? Here the small t is not going to express their character, because it is the recessive allele, and the recessive allele do not express its characteristics, its trait when it present along with the dominant one. So dominant can express their character in homozygous as well as in heterozygous conditions both, while recessive alleles, they express their character in homozygous state only. We will discuss later on when I will teach you the law of dominance. So, the tall was dominant, the dwarf was recessive. Other characteristics you have to also learn, and these characteristics, these traits were taken by Mendel in his breeding experiment to know the pattern of inheritance in garden pea plant. Total 7 characteristics. Mendel's experimental procedure. How Mendel they made the crosses. What were their procedure? Mendel made actually 2 crosses in this breeding experiment, and these are monohybrid and dihybrid cross. In monohybrid cross, Mendel considered a single character at a single time, but in dihybrid cross, he considered how many characteristics at the same time? 2 characters. Mendel observed one trait or one character at a time. Suppose if he could consider so many characteristics at the same time, he might get confused to study about the pattern of inheritance. So Mendel was very intelligent. Step by step, he considered the traits. First, he made monohybrid cross. After the monohybrid cross, then he made dihybrid cross. In monohybrid cross, a single gene, a single trait, a single character has been considered by the Mendel. For example, if suppose Mendel is going to make a monohybrid cross, one plant he considered as the tall plant, while another one he considered as the dwarf plant. This is tall and this one is the dwarf, and both the plants are going to be crossed together to know that what kind of the offspring they are going to produce in first generation, in second generation. So overall, how many characters we are going to consider here? The tall and dwarf, these two are not character. The character is height of the plant. The height of the plant, the stem height, or you can say the height of the plant is the character, and each character has 2 alternatives. This one is the tall and this one is the dwarf. So overall the character is same, the character is single, that is height of the plant. And in first generation, when he made the crosses in tall and dwarf, he obtained the offspring in F1 generation. Again, after the self-crossing, he studied the nature of the offspring in F2 generation. While he was studying in F1, F2 generation, other characteristics, other characters, other traits, he ignored. Means, he had not considered any other characteristics like the flower color, flower position, pod shape. At that time, he considered only about whether the plant is tall or dwarf. Overall, he studied about the height of the plant. So Mendel observed one trait or one character at a time. He hybridized plants with alternative forms of a single trait. As I told you, alternative forms of a single trait means if a trait is height of the plant, so the height of the plant has two alternatives, that is tall and dwarf. He made the crosses between tall and dwarf. So tall and dwarf both are the alternatives, or you can say both are the contrasting of a trait, or you can say of a character, and that is height of the plant. When he made the crosses, then he obtained the seeds. Definitely when he will, one plant he considered as the male, the pollen grains he seeded onto the stigma of the carpel. Then the fertilization takes place. After fertilization, the seeds are to be produced. Then he produced the seeds by these crosses, and he grown the seeds into the field to obtain the first filial progeny, and these plants are called F1 plants. Suppose this is the parent plant, tall plant and dwarf plant. Both the plants are crossed together. After crossing, whatsoever the new offspring they are going to be produced by these parents, these plants are called first filial progeny, or you can say F1 plants. Again, he made self-pollination, self-crossing in F1 plants to obtain the F2 generation or second filial generation. So first he selected the parent plant, the male and female, for example the tall and dwarf. Then he obtained their offspring. These offspring they were called F1 plants. After self-crossing, he obtained the F2 generation plants, and the same pattern he followed while he made dihybrid crosses. I have written here, Mendel followed the same procedure in dihybrid crosses also. So this is all about the procedure of Mendel's experiment. Now let us start the Mendel's experiment. Mendel's laws. Mendel's laws. How many laws are there of the Mendel's? Total 3 Mendel laws are there, and these are law of dominance, law of segregation, and the third one is the law of independent assortment. The total crosses the Mendel made monohybrid and dihybrid cross. And on the basis of these two crosses, monohybrid and dihybrid cross, finally he came into the conclusion and gave all these 3 laws: law of dominance, law of segregation, and law of independent assortment. Actually, the first two one, the law of dominance and law of segregation, these 2 laws came after the monohybrid cross. When he made monohybrid cross, he gave these 2 laws, law of dominance and law of segregation. And when he made dihybrid cross, then the third law came, that was law of independent assortment. So total crosses he made generally monohybrid and dihybrid. The result of monohybrid cross is law of dominance and law of segregation, and the result of dihybrid cross is the third law, law of independent assortment. So let us start the first one, that is law of dominance. all the three law, you have to study law of dominance. The capital TT, and you know Mendel used different symbols. At the time of Mendel, there was no concept of gene, as I told you earlier. Mendel used the factor, the term factor, that factor nowadays we know. These factors are called gene. And he used the factor with some of the symbols. Suppose the plant is tall, then he used capital T, some of the symbols he used. So capital TT for pure, tall, and this small tt plant, this is for pure dwarf. Means the capital T is for tallness and the small t is for dwarfness. I have written here pure tall and here I have written pure dwarf. What do you mean by pure? Pure means a true breeding plant. How you will get to know that the plant is whether pure or hybrid? How Mendel got to know that the plant for tallness is pure, either the plant for dwarfness is pure? In the pure form, both the alleles must be identical. Suppose I have written here capital TT, this is the pure plant for tallness, and I have written here this one, this is also tall but this is not pure, this one is the hybrid tall. How Mendel he got to know that whether the plant is pure or the plant is hybrid? He can't see the factor, the gene by his naked eye inside, because all the crosses, monohybrid, dihybrid, were based on the statistical data. He couldn't study about at the molecular level. A true breeding plant is the plant which after, let us see the definition, a true breeding plant is the plant, or a pure plant is the plant which after self-crossing always produces the same kind of the plant. Then you can say the plant is pure for that particular trait. For example, if you are going to cross the pure plant with the pure plant, always you will get the pure one. If the plant is pure, you make the self-crossing. It's a very simple way. If you wish to know that whether the plant is pure or hybrid, just you try to prefer the selfing. If after the self-crossing the plants always in F1 generation, F2, F3, F4, in all the generations, if the plants are going to be produced tall from the tall plant, means the trait for the tallness is pure for, is the true breeding plant for the tallness. If the plant is dwarf and you are going to prefer the self-crossing or self-pollination, it will always produce the dwarf plant in all the generation, and you can say the plant is dwarf, pure dwarf, or true breeding plant for the trait dwarfness. The experiment was not so easy by the Mendel. First of all, while he was making the cross, first he selected the pure tall plant, he selected also the pure dwarf plant, and how he got to know? By repeated self-crossing. So this is the pure tall plant. In pure tall plant, always both the alleles, it comes into the homozygous form, and here also both it comes into the pure recessive form, small tt. Why I have written here the capital T 2 times and here also 2 times? As you know, the pea plant is diploid in nature. It has the chromosome like this in a pair. So it is very, very simple. It is diploid. 2 sets of the chromosomes are there in diploid condition. And that's why the chromosomes, they are present in a pair. Both they are homologous chromosomes. So you will write the alleles also in the pair. On one chromosome capital T and here also capital T. The genes are also located in the pair form. Means both the alleles of a character, they are located at a particular locus. This is called locus. The whole is called a particular gene. This is a gene. And these two are this is a single gene. And a single gene, as we have already discussed, a single gene has how many alternatives? 2 alternatives. And both the alternatives, they lie side by side on the same locus. Capital T, capital T. Suppose the second gene is there and the gene is R. It may be R may be smaller, or Y, then Y. So the genes, they are located on the chromosome. The genes where they are located on the chromosome, that particular point is called locus. And each gene has how many alternatives? 2 alternatives. And both the alternatives, they lie side by side on the homologous chromosomes. So because of the chromosomes, they are present in the pair, the genes are also located in the pair. Capital TT, small tt. Now, Mendel selected one plant as the tall plant and the another one was the dwarf plant. Suppose the tall plant is the male plant. This is the male plant, symbol of male. Then the dwarf plant he considered as the female plant. Then he will pollinate this dwarf plant. What kind of the pollen grains will be produced here in the tall plant? The capital T type. And here what kind of egg will be produced by the female plant? Is small t type. Means this capital T is what? Pollen grain. And this small t is the egg. Why I have written here a single capital T? I am not going to write here the capital T 2 times. Just you have to see what kind of the gametes are going to be produced, the pollen grain. It will be capital T type. As you know, gametes are always haploid. When a diploid organism produces the gametes, whether it is sperm or ovum or pollen grain or egg, the pollen grain or egg will receive only one chromosome, a set of the chromosome out of 2. Not both the chromosomes, they go into the same pollen grain or same egg, because the gametes are always haploid. Here the pollen grain is receiving only one set of the chromosome out of 2. That's why the T also comes along with that chromosome, and not both the alleles will come into the same gamete. Only one will come. And this is also because of law of segregation. I will discuss later on. So here the capital T and here it will be the small t. Again, both pollen grain and egg Both they are fused together to form what? Zygote. Now the zygote will develop into the seed, then seed you will grow, the new plant will be produced, and this plant will be the hybrid tall. This is F1 generation plant. F1 generation plant. He made the cell crossing, one male, one female. Again, how many types of the pollen grains will be produced? The capital T type, small t type. The genotype is same because here the cell crossing is done. So egg will be also 50% egg will have the capital T type of the egg and 50% is small tt. Please say here what I told you. Here the capital T type of the pollen grain will be produced. The egg will have the small t type of the egg. Both they are fused together to form zygote. Again it restores the diploid condition. Now the new plant will be the hybrid tall. In hybrid tall plant, Mendel made the cell crossing. So you have to write 2 times. One you will consider as the stamen male. This you have to consider as the female. From the male again, after during the process of cell crossing, again it will produce 2 kinds of the pollen grains. 50% pollen grains will have the capital T type and 50% of the pollen grain will have the small t. The same like in the egg also, 50% egg will contain the capital T allele and remaining 50% will contain small t. Now actually this is the Punnett square. Punnett was a scientist. He gave a graphical representation. This is the Punnett square, and Punnett square was given by Punnett to know the result in a proper way. The capital T and capital T is small t. The capital T you write first, capital T is small t and small t is small t. The plant will be the pure tall. This plant will be the hybrid. This will be the hybrid tall, and this will be the pure dwarf. And all these plants are of F2 generation plant, or you can say second filial generation plant. Now you see the ratio. The phenotypic ratio of monohybrid cross 3:1. Out of 4 plants, how many plants are tall? 3 plants. 1, 2, 3. 3 are tall and 1 is dwarf. So phenotypic ratio of this cross will be 3:1. And what is the genotypic ratio? Genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. 1 is pure tall, 2 is hybrid tall, and 1 is pure dwarf. As I told you, phenotypic ratio means, phenotype means all these plants from outside, they appear same. To see them morphologically from outside, you can't say that which plant is pure or which plant is hybrid. You can't differentiate. Both the plants, they look like the same. Suppose these 2 sketches are there, pens, and both they are alike. 100% they are tall. but one may have the capital T or small t, one may have the hybrid, one may have the pure. So from outside, out of 4 plants, overall 3 plants are tall and 1 plant is dwarf. But not all the tall plants, their genetic setup are same. 1 is pure tall, 2 are hybrid and 1 is pure dwarf. So overall, the phenotypic ratio of the monohybrid cross is 3:1 and the genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. Now from this diagram, how you will get to know that what is law of dominance? It means when the Mendel crossed pure tall plant with pure dwarf plant, definitely he made the artificial crossing. When he made the cross between pure tall plant with the pure dwarf plant, in F1 generation, he observed all the plants, they were tall. He was confused that why tall plants only appear where the characters of dwarf has gone in F1 generation. He couldn't give any conclusion at this step. Then he made the self-crossing and he obtained the F2 generation plants, and in F2 generation plant, the tall and dwarf plants both they appear, but their ratio was different. The phenotypic ratio was 3:1 while the genotypic ratio was 1:2:1. Why the dwarf plants are not going to appear in the F1 generation? You tell me. Because of law of dominance. The capital T, the tall gene is coming from this side, the small t is coming from this one. Why only the tall plants is going to appear? Why not? It is dwarf. The capital T is the dominant allele and the small t is the recessive allele. As you know, dominant allele is the allele which expresses their characteristics, their traits, their characters in homozygous as well as in heterozygous conditions both. You can see here, both the conditions are homozygous. Definitely the plant will be the tall. But here, the tall and dwarf, both the alleles are there. But the plants, they are going to appear only tall. Why? Because the capital T is dominant and the small t is the recessive. And this tall is going to suppress, hide the characters of the traits of dwarfness. And that's why the plant is going to appear tall. And because of the law of dominance, all the F1 generation plants, they were tall. And in F2 generation also the ratio came like this. So here definitely this plant will be the tall, and here the plant phenotypically it will be the tall. This will be also tall because the law of dominance is going to be followed. Here the plant is dwarf. Why it is dwarf? You can see here both they are small tt. There is no capital T. There is no allele of the tallness, and that's why dwarf trait is also going to be appear. And this small t is the recessive one. It means recessive also expresses their characteristics, their traits, but the condition is what? It expresses their character in homozygous state only, not in the heterozygous condition. So what is law of dominance? As per law of dominance, out of two alleles of a character, out of two alleles of a character, one allele acts as the dominant while another one act as the recessive. The dominant expresses their character in homozygous as well as heterozygous conditions both, while recessive expresses their character not in heterozygous condition, in homozygous state only, and this is called law of dominance. Why it is said to be this is the diagram of monohybrid cross. As I told you, in the monohybrid cross, put forward, or you can say due to the monohybrid cross, two laws came. Law of dominance and law of segregation. Why it is said to be the monohybrid class? Here in this class you can observe we are studying the pattern of the inheritance of a single gene, and that gene is for the height of the plant. We are not going to consider any other characteristics, whether the position of the flower or pod color or seed color, shape of the seed. We are not going to consider any more characteristics. A single character, that is height of the plant, but a gene has two alternatives. You can say a single gene or that both the alternatives of a gene. Overall, a single character is studied in this diagram, and that's why it is said to be monohybrid cross, and that is height of the plant is the character. Now, what is law of segregation? In this diagram, one more law is hidden, that is law of segregation. Both the alleles of a character are segregated to each other during the process of gamete formation. What is law of segregation? Law of segregation states that both the alleles of a character are separated to each other at the time of gamete formation, and that's why a particular gamete receives only one allele out of two, and that is called law of segregation. You can see here the zygote is capital T and small t, but at the time of gamete formation, the 50% pollen grain is receiving capital T type of allele, and remaining 50% they are receiving the small t. Means both the alleles of a gene, or you can say both the alternatives of a gene, never comes in the same pollen grain or same egg, or you can say in the same gamete. They do not blend together. Both they are separated during the gamete formation, and this is called law of segregation. And law of segregation has no deviation at all. It is acceptable, universally acceptable, and there is no criticism at all. The criticisms are there in some of the plants, the law of dominance, the law of independent assortment. Their ratio have been not found. I will teach you in some heading, deviations of the Mendel's, but there is no controversy at all in the law of segregation. It always applicable as the chromosomes, the paired chromosomes, the homologous chromosomes, they are separated to each other during the process of gamete formation, and that's why both the alleles of a gene is also separated during the gamete formation. You can't see anywhere that the same pollen grain is receiving both the T, capital T and small t, either capital T or small t. They separate to each other, and that is called law of segregation. So that's all for today. Tomorrow I will teach you the dihybrid class, the law of independent assortment. So that's all for today. Thanks everyone.